Hey guys, so this is my second clip I clipped out of my live the other night. So this one is for those of you that didn't see the live last night. I think this is an important video here. So I wanted to listen to those interviews again of Andrew Baldwin and Bradley Rosie from right after they took on the case and they had that first court hearing. Basically, I was trying to get on any interview I could, with them, just to kind of listen back now, knowing what we know. And I missed something really huge in those interviews from like months ago. So this is a clip out of the live when we're listening to it. So we're watching these interviews. So yeah, here it is. Which is kind of interesting now to watch back. I found two interviews basically coming out of court with Baldwin and Rosie. So I thought it was just kind of interesting to go back and listen to them now. So let's do that real quick. And then I put right at the beginning where the one reporter asks Carter if she thinks that if he thinks that Richard Allen is the guy on the bridge. I don't know if you remember this little interview here. That's just like a 30 seconds where she asks him. Sorry, I was laughing there, but there's something about Carter that makes me laugh. I don't know. He's just so weird. And I'm not saying that to be mean, but like he is very strange. I mean, I don't know if in real life he's like that, but like how he's acted throughout this case is very bizarre. So it literally makes me laugh when I watch him. So sorry. That's why I started laughing explaining that, because this clip, anytime I actually watch him, I don't know, it's just makes me laugh for some reason, because he's just so odd and I can't get a grasp on who he is. I don't understand him very well. It's very, very different.
Do you think Mr. Allen is the man on that bridge?
The judge signed a probable cause affidavit for the arrest of him. I can't wait to tell the story, but today's not the day.
When do you think you can tell that story?
We're going to let the courts decide.
In other words, let them decide when they can release that PC.
Well, and then even then, when the PC is released, due process is still a piece of all this puzzle. And this isn't over until it's over. And that's with the conviction of him.
Are you confident this is your guy?
The judge signed the probable cause affidavit for the arrest of Richard Allen for 2 counts of murder. Yes.
Do you think there are other people involved?
I'm not going to go there.
There's still speculation out there that investigators should still continue to look, even though he's passed away, at Ron Logan, where the bodies were found.
We're going to keep doing what we've done until there's nothing left for us to do. We're going to keep doing it.
Save time. And sometimes you got to be in a courtroom to get that done. It doesn't happen as easy over email. And so I think that was kind of a byproduct of what you saw today.
How's your client doing through all of this?
It's tough. It's tough for him. I mean, we just spent 20, 30 minutes with Rick, and he misses his wife. He misses human connection with people. So it's been difficult for him. And again, I don't know what we're allowed. I don't want to be violating any. We do not want to go awry of the judge here. And but thank you for asking. Rick is doing not terrifically, but he's staying mentally tough right now.
How heavy a lift is it to try to sift through what the judge said is voluminous material that I'm assuming a U-Haul is going to back up to your office and get a hand truck and dump it in your office?
Yeah. No, it's not rocket science. That it just takes manpower and time to sort through all this. But we've got staff that can assist us with this and try to vet the stuff that's important and weed out the stuff that's not. And I mean, it's just, look, that's what lawyers do. That's what our staffs are used to doing. And I don't really think there's really more to say about it than that.
You think you're going to go March 23rd?
In terms of a trial?
Yes.
I think we all know where we are with that at this point. Anybody that's hung around a courtroom for any period of time would probably be able to draw a conclusion about where we are with that.
You guys plan to ask for bail to be granted?
No, we have a bail hearing set, and we're going to use that.
State has the burden at that hearing, February 17th. So we'll be ready to roll. We'll be asking for him to be released.
You think you got a solid chance?
I think these are difficult things to win. We won one fairly recently in a different county, and so it is not impossible, but the odds are stacked against you the way the law is set up. But the state has to, they have certain burdens to meet, and we shall see if they are going to be able to meet those burdens.
When that discovery lands on your desk and you two guys are sitting there, what's going to be the first thing you're going to flip through and say, we need to look at this thing very first?
I think those are the areas that the judge does not want us to comment on, and you heard her say in court, this is voluminous, and it is voluminous, and thousands is not even, that's probably a way underestimation of where we're at, and we've been told there's even more discovery coming. So,
Talk about just quickly how a logistical undertaking, a change of venue is to have to go to a whole nother county somewhere, get that jury, bring them back here, sequester them.
Sure. Well, you heard the judge mention that, we're going to, I guess from a brick and mortar standpoint, the proceeding's going to carry out in this county. And I think it's a logical conclusion, and a lot of that is it's just trying to deal with all the moving parts and not have to cause burden on other people. Of course, the most important thing here is that we get a veneer, a jury pool that we can be assured is fair and not prejudiced and unbiased. That is the goal in terms of where this case goes from a jury standpoint. But the rest of it seems pretty obvious to me that moving an army of people to southern Indiana is probably it's not the best use of taxpayer dollar, and it's also just logistically difficult for all of us. Yeah.
Did you get your money to hire your investigator?
We don't have an order on that yet, so.
Thank you guys, we appreciate it. Thank you.
Any time with them, really meaningful time, so that's just not something I can comment on.
What do you think about the prosecutor saying they have good reason to believe that he's not the only one involved in this?
Yeah. Those comments certainly caught my ear, but again, it's too early to comment on those kind of things just because we don't really have enough information, and I don't think that's professionally prudent to just start.
Did you hear what she just asked? And I don't know why I didn't notice this when I watched this. I don't know when this was. I think one of them was from 11 months ago. And I think one was from 4 months ago, I'm thinking. But because, of course, we don't have videos in the freaking courtroom. But she said, what did you think when the prosecutor said that he doesn't think that Richard, she didn't say Richard, but she said he's the only one, that there's somebody else involved. So the prosecutor is saying in the hearings he thinks somebody else is involved. Did I hear that right? Because why haven't we even talked about that right there? We knew that they did think that because that press conference was so freaking obvious. The stuff they were saying when the press conference where they said they arrested Richard Allen. It was so obvious that they were open to, because they thought somebody else was involved too. And then when Patrick Westphal brings up that interview polygraph he had, which I got to make a short on that because I think that's super important. In August, almost a whole year after Richard Allen is arrested, so therefore they would already tested his DNA and got the results back, takes Patrick's DNA for this Delphi case. Why? If they have DNA and it matched Richard's, why would they take anybody else's DNA? Because they have freaking DNA that doesn't match Richard's. And I think that's why they know there's somebody else involved. And that's probably why they said it in court. Let me rewind that again. Make sure I heard that right, you guys. Because were we ever talking about that when this interview came out? Because I don't remember. That's huge. Hold on. The prosecutor is saying that. You guys understand that. Not the defense, the prosecutor. Let me make sure I understood this right. Hold on. Listen to what she said.
Yeah.
Any time with them, really meaningful time, so that's just not something I can comment on.
What do you think about the prosecutor saying they have good reason to believe that he's not the only one involved in this?
Yeah. Those comments certainly caught my ear, but again, it's too early to comment on those kind of things just because we don't really have enough information, and I don't think that's professionally prudent to just start throwing thoughts around without really having the discovery in its entirety.
Does the PC document reflect that?
I'm not going to talk about that.
Okay.
That's exactly what we were just dealing with.
So I'm going to edit in that part of Patrick Westphal's interview that I was talking about, of him talking about them getting DNA from him and stuff. So here it is.
My first interviews were at the very beginning of the whole thing back in 2017. When they brought me back in the beginning of August, I do believe was beginning of August. And that's when they started asking me all the crazy ass questions about how True can be related to, is True related to Satanism in any way? Is there any satanic rituals? And I'm like, fuck no, dude. I gave him the rundown and told him, shame on you guys. Whoever put that idea in your head, shame on them too. So they got shit to do with it.
So were they trying to connect Richard Allen to it in some way?
No, they never, after asking me if I knew him or ever had any interaction with him before, they never mentioned him again. Anytime during the interview where it was just mouth to mouth, or even when I sat through the 4.5-hour polygraph, they were asking a bunch of other questions during the polygraph.
So you must have passed.
Did you stab anyone? Did you organize anything? Did you personally know, assist, give car rides to, organize, consent? I mean, every damn question in the world. I mean, like I said, everywhere from did you personally take a knife and ever stab anybody? Did you organize anything? Do you know who did it? I mean, every single question I can think of, and for 4.5 hours.
Well, they didn't mention it in the memorandum, so you must not have failed.
Oh, that's why I'm trying to sue the shit. I guarantee you that fucking attorney, he had to have known about it. It was a month before the memorandum came out that I had submitted DNA again. It's been on file since I went to Iraq. It's been on file since I got a felony back in the day. And then they took more DNA at the mouth-to-mouth interview beginning of August.
So they must have DNA.
Later, 4 days later, actually, I came back for the polygraph.
Yeah, they must have DNA then.
Mm-hmm. And we were all told from the beginning there was no DNA in this case. So when he asked me for DNA, I'm like, so you guys did have DNA in this case, or otherwise you wouldn't be asking for fucking mine. I said that also begs the question, the hell you do with Richard Allen in jail? If you're still looking for other people's DNA, that must mean you had DNA in the case and his didn't match. And then the state cop just kind of sat there and stared at me with those doughy lost eyes and shit. Like, well, I mean, it's already in the database. If you want more of it, get your swamp out and I spit all over that some bitch and they put in her little tube, stuck in their envelope, and disappeared with it.
Would you just say your name for the record, please? Sonia.
I feel like I'm in a courtroom.
Sorry,
my name is Brad Rosie. It's pronounced Rosie, not Rozzy. I'm not going to get into all the nuances. But there are Rozzies around too.
So that we get it right, spell your last name.
R-O-Z-Z-I.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
I'm going to have her. Thank you.
Dang it, was I saying his name wrong? Rosie. Yeah, because you would think Rosie would be R-O-S-E-Y. So Rosie. No, it's Rosie. It is Rosie. It's not Rosie. I have been saying it wrong. It's Rosie. Okay. Anyway, dang it, guys. I don't think I heard this because I would have definitely, that would have been one of the things that I was in my head about this. Because, like I said, they were more vague in the press conference, even though if you read in between the lines. But for them to be saying that in a hearing, that's freaking huge. So what the heck? So I guess it doesn't surprise me because I was always thinking if Richard is good for this, which I'm not convinced he is, but there's a part of me that thinks it's possible. Part of me that thinks it's not. But like, if he is, yeah, I definitely think that there's somebody else involved with him. Or what if it's just not him? And it is just one other person, and they have the wrong guy. Or I've always thought it was more than one person though. So I guess, or it could just be another couple guys. I know. But here's the thing: if there is other DNA, right, that's not Richard, the defense is going to have that information too, right? So they're going to be able to use that to be like, to create reasonable doubt against Richard, because I think we could be pretty sure that they don't have DNA from Richard because from the memorandum and stuff, they said nothing connects them. So if we're to believe them, they don't have it. So think about how much reasonable doubt that's going to create. If they have DNA that's not Richard's and the defense is able to tell that story good and be able to put it together good, right there in itself could create enough reasonable doubt. And there's a bunch of other stuff that could, but just that little piece could, because it's like, wait, you have DNA that's not the guy you have. But I don't know, these new lawyers, I don't know. Are they going to do a good job? So you think he's guilty 100%, Stephanie?
I know you were down here. What do you think?
Absolutely, we want the PCA read. Just like my co-counsel Brad said at the end of the hearing, the prosecutor and the police for the last number of years have been conducting press conferences and asking the public for help. Now we're asking for the public for help. You're going to read that probable cause affidavit online or wherever they get it, and hopefully that's going to ring a bell for somebody to help us out, because he is innocent. He has told us that very emotionally. He has thanked us for our help. And we are anxious for the public to read this. We're anxious for this thing to get going. And we'll see. And when you guys read the PCA, presuming that the judge grants our motion, you will have to question, is this what happens after 5 years of an investigation? Is this what it is? We don't have any other evidence. We don't have any discovery. That's all we have, and we are not impressed.
When you say this would help you to get it out, how would that help?
Well, you never know what person out there might read something, and it might ring a bell. It might cause them to point the finger in the direction of the actual killer. This whole business of the two people being involved, the conjecture from the prosecutor today was new information for us. I've been on this case, folks, for 6 days, so I don't know a whole lot. We have not seen the evidence, and another person involved. I mean, that's new news. So
that's not reflected in the PCA?
Not the PCA that I read. Not the PCA.
Do you have any information about the potential involvement?
Wait, hold on. I missed that. I want to see. I'm going to rewind that. I was messaging. I want to hear what they just said. Were they talking about the other person involved again? The heck?
I'm not going to get into all the nuances. But there are Rozzies around too.
So that we get it right, spell yours.
R-O-Z-Z. I need to get a longer one for you.
It's my work.
Been asking for help from the public.
That's right. He didn't talk to him, I think. I couldn't see the second one, really. But this one is the one who did. Yeah.
I'm going to go.
Huh?
We're here, we're behind Alan, smiling at him.
She's a very good judge. It's supposed to be very, very quick. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I know you were down here. What do you think?
Absolutely, we want the PCA read. Just like my co-counsel Brad said at the end of the hearing, the prosecutor and the police for the last number of years have been conducting press conferences and asking the public for help. Now we're asking for the public for help. You're going to read that probable cause affidavit online or wherever they get it, and hopefully that's going to ring a bell for somebody to help us out, because he is innocent. He has told us that very emotionally. He has thanked us for our help. And we are anxious for the public to read this. We're anxious for this thing to get going. And we'll see. And when you guys read the PCA, presuming that the judge grants our motion, you will have to question, is this what happens after 5 years of an investigation? Is this what it is? We don't have any other evidence. We don't have any discovery. That's all we have, and we are not impressed.
When you say this would help you to get it out, how would that help?
Well, you never know what person out there might read something, and it might ring a bell. It might cause them to point the finger in the direction of the actual killer. This whole business of the two people being involved, the conjecture from the prosecutor today was new information for us. I've been on this case, folks, for 6 days. So I don't know a whole lot. We have not seen the evidence, and another person involved. I mean, that's new news. So
that's not reflected in the PCA?
Not the PCA that I read.
That's bullcrap. Wait a minute. So that's not reflected in the PCA. No, it's not. I mean, I guess the probable cause affidavit is just to arrest. I guess they wouldn't have to because it's to, right? Because it's, the whole point is that was just specific to arrest Richard. You know what I'm saying? So maybe that's all right, but dang it though. I don't know legally. Maybe they should have put it in, but I don't know legally if they would have had to because that was specific to Richard. But dang, right there again, 2 people involved, they think. Well, how did I miss this? This was like, am I the only one that missed this that long ago? Like, I feel like this isn't new, so how? That's coming from the prosecutor, dude. What the heck? That means they think that. So what do they have? Obviously, they have DNA because they tested Patrick's. So they do have some DNA. It just doesn't match Richard's. And here's the thing. They took Elvis's DNA already, remember? That was the whole thing. They took his DNA, and then after they took his DNA is when he said, hey, if you find my DNA and I could explain it away. That's true, Shifty. That's true. We know it doesn't match all of them. That's 100% true. So, yeah, it's interesting. Did they take Brad's DNA? They talked to him, but they would have to get a subpoena for your DNA unless if they asked him and he said, sure, but I don't think they asked him. The way that it looks that they just talked to him, cleared him right away. I don't know. Do you know? Because that would be one that they should be wanting to get, right? Just to clear him at least from the DNA. Now, doesn't mean that there couldn't be people involved that didn't leave their DNA. Oh, because there's the election and stuff that happened that they arrested him like a couple days before. There's a lot of reasons, Stephanie. There's a lot of reasons why it's not. Now, here's the thing. It's not that they had him in mind the whole time to frame him. It might just be like, okay, you got the elections coming up. You haven't solved it yet. It might even be them looking at something, thinking, because you could get it wrong, right? Thinking, we think this is the guy. And sometimes people get so sure that they're willing to like cheat, plan things, do things because they don't have enough on them, especially because, oh my God, so many years has passed. So their mentality could be like, dang, we don't have enough on him, but we know it's him. So let's do this bullet. We're going to say this is his bullet. We're going to get the warrant, say it matches, and then we're going to get the bullet from his gun and switch it or something. That wouldn't be a hard thing to plant, to switch. Could be as simple as that. And here's the thing. They might think that is the guy. So it's not that this whole time that they've been like trying 6 years to like wait to frame him. No. It's like 6 years, come on, we can't find the guy. And then maybe them seeing that tip like, oh my God. And then them like being biased thinking, oh my God, thinking it's him. They don't have anything to get him on. And so let's make something get it on because we know that's him. Now it's too late. We're not going to have anything. It's been 6 years. Things happen. I mean, it's happened multiple times before in cases, So no, I don't think that they've been planning it for 6 years. I think it was, a thing where when they saw that tip that they overlooked or whatever, I think that's when they started laying eyes on him. And then that's when they're like convinced probably that it's him without enough evidence. Maybe. I don't know about the bullet thing. Go either way. Think about like with the freaking Saeed case that we're studying. Same thing. They didn't have enough evidence on him, but I know that they thought it was the right guy. So I really do believe they weren't going into it thinking, oh, we're going to charge this guy that's not involved. But you can't do that. That's taking away his rights. So even if they're so like, sure, no, we know it's this guy, but that's just not the way how our justice system should work. But like I said, I think with the Saeed case too, they thought they had the right guy, but none of the evidence matched up. Now, I'm not saying that they don't. I still don't know. I think there's still a good chance he could have done it. But anyway. But they made all the stuff fit. So they made like the phone calls and they changed the timeline. They made Jay like switch the timeline around, I think, so it would fit. They did this call that was supposed to be the call when they picked him up, there's no way it matches any other evidence. But if that call wasn't that, then there would be no call for Jay to pick him up. This is a whole different case. But they did that in that case. Now they vacated his freaking thing, and they know that there's not. Looking back, it's like, you're right. I mean, now all these eyes on that are looking at him. All these podcasts are shining a light on him. They can't avoid it because they know they did that. So they're like, we don't have enough evidence. Vacate the conviction. They do that. And it wasn't that they didn't think he did it. They thought he did it. And they think, I'm sure that they think Richard did it, but that doesn't mean that he did. That's the whole thing. And I'm not yelling at you, Stephanie. I just get passionate. It happens, though. It definitely happens. Well, because Chris Watts confessed, and there was evidence and stuff. They were in the tanks, and you know what I'm saying? There was way more evidence. He confessed. Richard has maintained his innocence. I know he supposedly confessed to his wife, but in legally, and we don't know in those circumstances. Now we're learning about how he's treated. Was he pressured? You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about like Chris confessed on the record, signed the paper, said he did it. You know what I'm saying? It was like all official. They did find a bullet, but we don't. How do you know that that bullet matches the bullet? How do we know that the bullet they found matches Richard's? Because then they get the warrant, then they get the gun with his bullets. Then all they have to do is eject a bullet through, however that would have worked, and switch the bullets in the evidence. Because maybe it was the same size or whatever. Plus, if we're to believe the lawyers, which I don't know, they said that there was no close-ups of the bullet. There's no comparison size. So therefore, they could get away with more. They might not even have to match up perfectly on size because they said there was no way to kind of compare it. Because if you just look at a bullet in the ground, like they said, if you don't have anything to compare it to, you don't know what size that is with grass and stuff. So, yeah, that would just be a really piece of easy evidence. That's all. Stephanie, but there was too much stuff there was a ton of stuff that it was like you can't even compare that with this. These are two different, like you can't even compare the two. They're not even the same in any sense. They're not the same. Like there's no comparison. The two cases are so different from each other that that's not a good one to compare. Show me something that would make sense to compare, but those two, there's too many differences. Okay, let's listen to the rest.
Not that you say that.
Do you have any information about the potential involvement of Keegan Klein in this case?
I have no information about that.
Why do you think it's important for the public to see this probable cause affidavit?
Again, I think it's important because somebody might read something, a line about, you're going to see maybe about a vehicle or about a person or about a time frame, and it might ring a bell, something that they hadn't thought of before. And when they read that, then, they can contact us as his lawyers. We're getting lots of information from lots of people across the country, especially locally. We don't know what is hoaxes. We don't know what's true. We don't know if it's a podcaster's, opportunity to get in the limelight. We don't know what's real, but we're going to look at every single person that contacts us. We're going to contact them, everybody, and we're going to figure out if what they know is helpful.
What, if anything, has your client, Richard Allen, said this has impacted him and or his family?
Obviously, this has impacted Richard and his family tremendously. I mean, his wife is just a wonderful person, and she loves her husband. They've been married for over 30 years. They were basically high school sweethearts. They love each other, and she fully supports him, but it is devastating. She's scared. She doesn't want to leave her house. She did leave her house. She, thankfully, is in a little bit better place than she was a month ago, but this is all new to them.
Can you say anything about why investigators are focused on your client?
You guys will read the probable cause affidavit, and you may wonder why they are focused on our client.
We haven't asked you the fundamental question, and that is, your client's the wrong guy?
Our client's the wrong guy.
And what's the main point that you hope the judge takes away from your argument today?
We have no know is helpful.
What, if anything, has your client, Richard Allen, said this has impacted him and or his family?
Obviously, this has impacted Richard and his family tremendously. I mean, his wife is just a wonderful person, and she loves her husband. They've been married for over 30 years. They were basically high school sweethearts. They love each other, and she fully supports him, but it is devastating. She's scared. She doesn't want to leave her house. She did leave her house. She, thankfully, is in a little bit better place than she was a month ago, but this is all new to them.
Can you say anything about why investigators are focused on your client?
You guys will read the probable cause affidavit, and you may wonder why they are focused on our client.
We haven't asked you the fundamental question, and that is, your client's the wrong guy?
Our client's the wrong guy.
And what's the main point that you hope the judge takes away from your argument today?
We have nothing to hide, and transparency is important in government. It may be weird for defense lawyers, I suppose, to be arguing that we want things unsealed, but that's how confident we are in our client. That's how confident we are that the evidence contained in at least what's written in the probable cause affidavit is nothing for us to worry about. We don't know what other evidence is out there, but we're confident that whatever is out there is not going to be enough to show that our client did anything here. He's confused. He's bewildered. Rick, you guys all call him Richard. He actually goes by Rick. Rick is bewildered. He's confused. He has no idea why this is going on. How can an innocent man be accused of a crime like this and have their life upended? That's the kind of stuff that we've talked about with him. And the same can be said for his wife. How can an innocent man be charged, accused, and basically convicted in the court of public opinion is what they say. But what I said to him is, there's plenty of people out there that are supporting you, and we're getting a lot of calls from a lot of people that don't believe that Rick is the guy.
Should Judge Frangel keep these documents sealed, how do you guys proceed?
Well, it's like my co-counsel Brad Rosie said, you cannot conduct a suppression issue in public without talking about the facts. Tiptoeing around the facts is going to be impossible. That's another really terrific reason why these documents need to be unsealed.
In America, you don't have to prove that somebody's the wrong guy. They have to prove he's the right guy. Could you just elaborate on why you say he's the wrong guy?
Well, again, I'm early on in this case. I've looked my client in the eye, and he's looked me in the eye, and he's told me what he's told me. I'm innocent. Thank you for helping me out. And we'll see what the evidence looks like. The PCA, the probable cause affidavit, we are not impressed.
Can you tell us more about what the prosecutor said regarding a second person who might be involved?
Well, that was news to us. So whoever was in that room listening to the prosecutor talk about a second person, that's news to us. I got to tell you, I don't know a whole lot about this case. I'm learning and learning and learning. There's people that have podcasts and all kinds of stuff that seemingly think that they know more about this case. And certainly, I'm glad that I'm
on mute. Thank you. Oh, dang it. This is tricky because it should be so easy because the light goes off, it's muted. The light's on, it's not. Oh, dang it.
coming into this case without a whole lot of knowledge about anything. I don't have any preconceived notions. I don't like to look at evidence with some preconceived notion of what it might mean. I don't know what anything means, but this second person business, that there's another person involved, I think somebody I had heard something on a podcast. Somebody had told me that there's a podcast or a news article that says something about that. There was somebody, you mentioned the name of somebody, I don't know who.
Keegan Klein.
Keegan Klein. I mean, you may think I'm, an attorney. How do I not know who Keegan Klein is? I've heard the name, but I don't know who Keegan Klein is. I don't know if that might be the guy that did. I don't know. I don't know anything about anything other than, I got a guy here who says he's innocent. All right. And what I would say a very flimsy probable cause affidavit. Those are the two things that I do know.
Do you think they don't want the probable cause release because it's, in your words, flimsy?
I'm not sure why they didn't want the probable cause affidavit. I mean, he made his arguments, I guess, and I'll take him for his word that, you know, the prosecutor's trying to protect people, and I respect that. The second person, the investigation is continuing to go on. Again, that is something new. So I'll take the prosecutor at his word that those are the reasons why. You know, when I say flimsy, what I'm talking about, I'm a defense attorney that's handled I don't know how many murder cases over the years. I've got many pending right now. You expect more than what we saw. We're not impressed with it. Maybe they're holding things back that might change my mind later on, and I might have a different opinion. But at this moment in time, you guys are going to be reading it soon if the judge grants our request or denies the state's request, and then you'll form your own opinions as well.
Would you say your full name, please?
Andrew J. Baldwin, B-A-L-D-W-I-N.
And the name of your firm?
Baldwin, Perry, and Camish.
Thank you.
Baldwin, thank you.